So how did I become a card game designer? Where did it all get started? Well, it actually started when I was probably about 13 years old. Keep in mind that up till that point, I was a very fun-loving little boy. I loved all kinds of games. Card games with a standard poker deck, board games, tabletop games, outdoor games. I loved it all. I played all kinds of things. When I was around 13 or so, I don't remember the exact year, Pokemon got really big in the States, and soon all of my friends had Pokemon cards and everybody was bringing them to school. And I was really captivated by those little cards. They felt to me like they contained a certain amount of power, because when I played with other people, I could destroy their cards or win the game or win some prizes or whatever. So every little card, every little creature, every little monster had its own specific powers, and that really drew me into a world. And I think, like a lot of young children at that time, we immediately started wanting to design our own cards. I don't know why humans are like that, especially children, but they want to make their own. They want to put their own riff on the thing which they love so much. They want to see even more little monsters and creatures. So I started drawing and cutting out cards, and I remember I used to make duplicates of cards by hand to create decks to play games with my friends. And so that's how it kind of got started. I eventually got pulled into other card game worlds like Magic the Gathering, like Star Wars, and that just gave me more inspiration to keep designing my own. Slowly my skills were getting better and better. Of course, all the while I was an amateur, I had no real training. But when I went off to university, as I approached university and when I went into university, that's when my time spent designing card games slowly came to a stop, because I felt that I needed to focus, and maybe rightly so, on preparing to get a job in the quote-unquote real world. So I didn't design card games for many, many years. I ended up training to be a teacher and moving to China to start teaching. And I loved all of that experience, but after some years, I had this sort of like a reawakening, or I had this nagging feeling, this reminder, oh, that passion, that hobby you used to have, could you bring it back now and use it for language learning? There was a lot of other factors that sort of collided at that time. I mean, I was teaching business students at the university, but I knew nothing about business, so I wanted to learn how to make and sell things too, like them. I also saw the explosion of new print-on-demand industries, and also ways that you could make your own website and sell your own products more easily. All these tools were starting to come out that I wasn't even aware of. And again, I also wanted to find a way to enrich my Mandarin learning. I was learning the language of Mandarin. I wanted to help myself and other people learn a language in a more fun and memorable way. So I resumed designing my own card games, and they instantly looked way more professional than anything I had ever made in the past, because now I was using print-on-demand tools and design programs on my computer. This was something that I never could have even imagined back in the day. So I released a game called Chinese Champions. It was done with handmade paper-cut artwork. I wanted to do something I had never done before, so I didn't do it hand-drawn. I'm always wanting to try something new. So I made that game. People had fun with it. They said, could you make it for this language, or that language, or this language? They wanted to have it in French, or Arabic, or Spanish, and I started to think, well, I could make a million variations, a million translations of this one game, but that would bore me to tears. I want to make new games. So then I started to think, oh, I could make games that are suitable for language learners all over the world, regardless of what target languages they are learning. But that's a little bit beside the point. How did my development go as a card game designer? Well, I realized that I still had a lot of learning to do, a lot of growing to do. This started in my late 20s, was when I resumed card game design, and I'm 36 now. So My attention to detail improved. I became a lot more meticulous and patient about crafting every single card. I didn't have that level of patience when I was young, obviously. I still think I need to improve this aspect of myself. I get really excited when I design a game. I want to see it done, so that leads me to tend to rush, especially as I'm nearing completion of the project. So I know I need to be more patient, more meticulous. There's a saying, how does it go? It says, rush to beta. I tried to look it up really quick, but I couldn't find it. But something like rush to beta, optimize to mastery, or something like that. So when you have a lot of ideas and you're very excited, you want to get a lot of that on paper. You want to get a lot of that templated onto cards or whatever. And as long as you're feeling motivated and excited, keep using that to push the project out. But once you've got all your ideas out there, of course it's not anywhere near the finish line yet. Now you have to slow down and shape the project to mastery and play test it and reiterate and fine tune it until it's as perfect as you can get it. Another thing that is much different now than when I was young is that because I have a job and I earn money through the job as a teacher and also through the sale of my games, is I can pay artists to create original artwork for me. This is something that I never even imagined before. So having original artwork is a game changer, but learning to communicate and work with artists, that was a big a challenge and a big leap forward to me. I had to learn how to sort of manage a team with artists and keep the artwork coming, because I need a lot of pieces of artwork to put into a game. This will take years. So the patient communication, the careful communication with artists, the nurturing of those relationships, being able to pay them, that really helped me improve the games that I was able to make. A third thing that's a lot different than before, which took me some learning, was to create PDF versions of my games and also online versions of my games. I was still thinking old school style, which is people love and people prefer to hold the cards in their hand and play at the table just like I do. Well, I found that not everybody is exactly like me. Some people like to get the print and play game because they can get it instantly and it's more affordable. And they like to make a little activity, perhaps with students or children, to cut out the cards and laminate the cards, things like that. And I also learned that people would love a virtual version of my game because then they can play anytime, anywhere, with anybody in the world. And so it's almost like has a limitless application. That way it's very freeing. So that might be something you want to consider as well. Think about all the different ways that people could play your game. Don't get trapped into just thinking one type of game is the one that people are gonna like. You can create printable games. You can create virtual decks. You can create real decks. You can test them and see which do people really like more. Well, that about wraps it up for today's video, but I hope it gives you some insights into my development as a card game designer. If you want to see some more advice from me with more practical steps for creating and selling your first card game, don't forget I have a very popular playlist on my YouTube channel. It's called How to Make and Sell Your First Card Game or something like that. I'll put a link into this video if I can. But thank you so much for watching, and I hope you'll come back here again real soon. Bye-bye for now.